4 o'clock on Thursday, June 13th, 2024, and we have a quorum, so I'm going to call this library board meeting to order. First item is the approval of the agenda, and I'm going to be using my prerogative as the chair for this month's meeting to shake things up a little bit, but don't panic, it's not that bad. I would like to move the discussion of the budget to the last item to make sure that we get the action items all taken care of first, not knowing how long the budget discussion will go. So if we end up here in the wee hours of the morning, we'll at least have the action items taken care of. So I will make a motion to approve the agenda as noted with the change. Do I have a second?
So moved.
Second? All right, I have a second. So any further discussion?
Did we add the amended action item to our list? Did we need to do that separately?
I think it's included in the agenda that was posted because it was added early enough, so I don't think you have to approve it.
Yep, so yeah, that's a good point, Carl. Yeah, April had sent out a second notification of the to add an action item, the final action item, which is included on the agenda. Any other discussion? All right, hearing none, then all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carried. Second is the approval of the minutes from the May 9th, 2024 board meeting, which are in the packet here. So I will move that we approve the minutes from the May 9th meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, do we have any discussion, corrections, edits? All right, hearing none, then all in favor say aye. Aye. All right, motion carried. Now we'll go into some of the correspondence. We got an IRS certificate of appreciation as part of our participation in the United Way tax preparation program. So April, you want to cover that?
Yes, we have participated in the program for 10 years, so the certificate was sent to us from the IRS just as recognition of our part in that service that is offered. United Way is the organization that organizes that for the Brown County, and all the taxes that are filed are prepared by volunteers, so we're very glad to be able to offer that service. It is well used in our community.
Yeah, and the information in there has indicates has a letter from Gwen Guerin, the Director of Stakeholder Partnerships, and then there's also the certificate of appreciation from the IRS. So is that going to get us any perks, any tax breaks?
I was just going to say.
Maybe get it out of a jail-free card?
Or something for our chart.
Pretty much what it is, yeah. So, but that was very nice of them to do that. All right, next we'll jump into the financial report then for May.
We are 42.62% through 2024, and our budget is approximately 41.3% expended. Bills that we paid during May included $154 to Demco for book processing supplies, $91 to Hilliard for a replacement carpet cleaner tank lid, $234 to the New Ulm Journal for our annual subscription, $160 to Martin Luther College for the summer reading program brochure printing, $45 to the Hanska Herald for an annual subscription, and $96 to Gopher Alarms for January through June alarm monitoring. They come out quarterly to check our fire alarms.
No, nothing earth-shattering there, out of the ordinary. Any questions for April regarding the financial report? All right, hearing none, then we'll zip on through to the librarian's report, starting with the library department activity report and statistics.
We hired a new library aide for the open position. That library aide will start next Monday, June 17th, and that will bring us back to fully staffed. The individual who's returning to us has worked with the library before, so we're expecting that we can probably truncate the training period a little bit based on that, so that'll be nice. Part of the Traverse de Sioux Library System's new contract with Consolidated Communications includes increasing internet bandwidth across the region. So Consolidated Communications, or CCI, is going to upgrade their equipment, so they will be making site visits to each library to change out our equipment. I'm expecting that to be completed in less than a day for that site visit. So I haven't received information from when they'll be coming to New Ulm. We were anticipating it to be done in June, so hopefully in the next couple of weeks, but I'm not sure if they've pushed their schedule back. I haven't heard yet.
So will there be a cost associated with that the library is going to pick up, or?
No, that's all covered by E-rate funding, so that's federal funding. And TDS administers all of that application process and all of that for us, so there won't be any cost to us locally for that. And then our summer reading program started June 3rd. We've handed out over 300 reading logs, and we've had a lot of kids in and out of the library for our programs. We had, on Monday morning, we had 64 people at story time, so it's been busy this month, but we're happy to see everybody inside the building. And then just a note on the statistics, on the page where you see kind of the list of the library department statistics under the reference section, you'll notice in the newspaper use and the magazine use, there's a note there that says through May 15th for those items. We've changed the way we're going to be collecting those stats. Those were hand count stats that we were doing based on patrons putting the newspapers and magazines in a bin when they were finished browsing them. But we are going to be scanning those in as what's called an in-house use in our integrated library system. And so then we'll just be able to pull that with our annual statistics. So that'll make it easier to include those things in the annual report. So you will no longer have separate lines for those in this library department statistics reference section. They'll just be in our circulation statistics going forward. I'd be happy to answer any questions about the librarian's report or statistics.
Nothing earth-shattering on the statistics either, in terms of door counts or any of that. Everything is kind of following the similar patterns from previous years.
Yes, you'll see an uptick in June, but that's pretty typical for the summer reading program.
All right. There's no questions on the activities report and statistics. We'll go to programming then.
We have lots of children's programs happening this month. We have story times on Mondays at 10:30 a.m. and at Wednesdays on 6:30 p.m. And then we do have a special story time on Friday, June 28th at 10 a.m. There's no registration needed for story times. You can just stop by. The Traveling Lantern Theater will be here tomorrow at 10 a.m. This is an Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund grant that's shared between the Brown County Libraries. I saw photos from their performance at Sleepy Eye today. Those were fun. But they put on a program that focuses on preservation, and I think the topic is saving the kakapo, which I think is a bird. So we're excited to have them. That looked like it was going to be a fun time. Our video gaming club starts next week, Tuesday, June 18th at 2:30 p.m. So there's no registration required for that or the Traveling Lantern Theater. Kids can just stop in for those. And video gaming club is for students grades 6 through 12. Then we have the Nintendones Jazz Concert on Saturday, June 22nd at 2 p.m. And this is a group that is performing at multiple libraries in our county as well, and they perform music from different video games, but in a jazz style. So they have also performed at Sleepy Eye, and the library director had a great review for them, so excited for that one as well. And then we'll be offering global games on Thursday, June 27th at 1 p.m. in Hans Juice Park, and that's also an Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund program. So kids will have a chance to learn about different games that are played throughout the world and then have time to practice those games in the park. And then for our adult programming, we are starting a Mad to Glad parenting group. This will go on for 8 weeks on Mondays at 5:30 p.m. starting June 24th. Registration is required, and that can be done at our website, www.newulmlibrary.org. And then we have a comedy hour with Ali Sultan on Saturday, June 29th at 3:30 p.m. The Friends have donated to cover that cost of that program. That's one of your action items for today.
All right, any questions?
I would just like to add that although it could probably be said every month, but I listened to the monthly newsletter that the library sends out, and it just strikes me how many different programs, how many diverse populations or demographics they're targeting and engaging in different areas of our community, that the library staff is just doing a very significant job of being a good community citizen, and I just want to commend April and your staff for all the good, hard work that you do in bringing the library to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. Our
Yeah,
programming
much
staff
so.
does a really nice job, and they work very hard. So we're lucky to have such a good team.
All right, now we'll move on to the Brown County Library Board update.
The Brown County Library Board met this Monday, June 10th. Yvonne is our Brown County Library Board rep from this board, and Manon is our alternate, and they both joined the meeting. And that was held at the Dykeman Free Library in Sleepy Eye. We received the disbursement of the first half of our county support for 2024, which totals $9,175.30. We're expecting a second half for the same amount in November of this year, when the board meets again. They also discussed the 2025 appropriations requests that we need to turn in by the end of June, and then we would meet with the Brown County Commissioners to talk about that request in early August. A date hasn't been set yet for that meeting. The board decided that the Brown County Library Board will request a $5,000 increase again this year, which is what was requested last year and approved by the county commissioners. So they've asked me to draft the request letter that is going to the commissioners before the end of June. And then once we have a date set for that meeting, I'll let this board know. Board members from this board, from the Brown County Library Board, and members of the public are all welcome at that meeting. I don't know if Yvonne and Manon have anything else they'd like to add about that discussion.
No, I just sat there and listened because I, had never been to one, so.
A good meeting, a congenial group. It was nice to have the input of a county commissioner there.
Yep.
So do all the libraries then pretty much send someone to attend?
Yes, as much as they're able to. So the library directors are not voting members of the board, where they're just kind of as ex officio members. And then each city library board has a designee for the board, and then each district from the county also has one, so that the rural areas are represented as well.
All right, well, thanks for that update. So then, next we'll skip on past the budget discussion. We'll put that at the end, and we'll hit the action items now. The first one being resolution number 2024-14, approving the security camera policy. This is the second reading and adoption. At its April 11th, 2024 meeting, the New Ulm Public Library Board voted to install security cameras in the library. The American Library Association recommends that libraries should develop policies that clearly address all forms of video surveillance that may occur in their spaces, making those policies publicly available, and give notice to both staff and the public when those policies are adopted or amended. And then there's a website address. The library director recommends that the library board adopt the attached security camera policy. The city's information technology director has reviewed the policy and confirmed that it accurately reflects the operation of the security camera system that will be installed. The library director made revisions recommended by the library board at its May 9th, 2024 meeting, which were reviewed and approved by the city attorney. Those revisions are included in the attached draft policy. So I will quickly read through it. It's a couple pages, but it's not that bad. So the New Ulm Public Library Security Camera Policy. The New Ulm Public Library invites and inspires learning, imagination, discovery, and connection. To complete this mission, the library must offer a welcoming, open atmosphere and provide a quiet, comfortable, and safe environment where people can use library facilities and collections for intended purposes to the maximum extent possible. The purpose of the security system is to enhance the safety and security of library users, staff, and property. This policy is enforced to deter public endangerment, vandalism, and theft in unsupervised areas and to identify those individuals involved in such activity for law enforcement purposes, while adhering to the applicable federal, state, and local law concerning the confidentiality of library records, the disclosure of public records, and the protection of individual privacy. The library security camera system will be used only for the protection and safety of library visitors, employees, assets, and property, and to identify persons breaking the law or violating the library behavior policy. Staff and visitor safety is the first priority in any threatening situation. The protection of library property is of secondary importance. In the section on public notice signage will be posted at the library entrances at all times, informing the public that security cameras are in use. Security camera locations. Cameras may be installed in locations where individuals lack a reasonable expectation of privacy. Examples include common areas of the library such as entrances, library exterior and parking lot, near book and media collections, public seating areas, public computers, and areas prone to theft or misconduct. Cameras may be installed in areas that could assist law enforcement in documenting traffic accidents or other incidents unrelated to the library that take place on public streets and surrounding properties within camera view. Examples include cameras on the exterior of the library building that not only document activity on the library property, but also the sidewalk, public streets, and surrounding properties. Cameras will not be installed in the areas of the library where individuals have a reasonable expectation of privacy, such as restrooms or private offices, nor are they positioned to identify a person's reading, viewing, or listening activities in the library. Camera locations will not be changed without permission of the library director. Security. The library has no obligation to monitor the cameras in real time. As the cameras are not constantly monitored, library staff and the public should continue to take appropriate precautions for their safety and for the safety of their personal property. The library is not responsible for the loss of property or personal injury. Data storage. Video records and still photographs may be used by authorized individuals to identify those responsible for library policy violations, criminal activity on library property, or actions considered disruptive to normal library operations as delineated in the library behavior policy. Access to the archival footage in pursuit of documented incidents of injury, criminal activity, or violation of the library policy is restricted to, and here's where a change was made, it basically specifies that the library director, assistant library director, and the City of New Ulm's information technology department staff will have that access to the archival footage. Live footage from security cameras is not monitored. However, circumstances including reports of policy violations, suspected criminal activity, and destruction or theft of library resources may require such monitoring to occur. Recorded data is confidential and secured in a controlled area. Recordings will typically be stored for no more than 30 days unless required as part of an ongoing investigation. As new images are recorded, the oldest images will automatically be deleted. In the event of a suspected crime or incident, still shots or a selected portion of the recorded data will be maintained until resolution of the specific incident. Access to archive footage. Access to the archive footage in pursuit of documented incidents of criminal activity or violations of the library's code of conduct is restricted to designated staff. The library director, assistant library director, and City of New Ulm information technology staff. Such authorized staff shall log all instances of access to or use of video surveillance data. The log shall include the date, time, name of the person or persons making the request, and description of the request, and is to be retained pursuant to the city's records retention policy. For investigations initiated by law enforcement agencies, recorded data will be made available to law enforcement upon presentation of a valid court order or a subpoena establishing probable cause to review the data. However, in emergency situations that present imminent danger of physical harm, law enforcement may gain access without a court order. In such imminent danger emergencies where law enforcement calls for a waiver of the court order, the requesting officer is required to provide his or her name, agency, badge number, and the nature of the emergency and the extent of the data requested. The library director, assistant library director, or City of New Ulm information technology staff will assist the requesting officer and may be called to the library during off hours to handle such a request. In situations involving banned patrons, stored still images may be shared with library staff. Shared images may remain posted in restricted staff areas for the duration of the banning period. General public requesting access to security camera footage, confidentiality, and privacy issues prevent the library from allowing the public to view security camera footage. If the library receives a request from the general public to view recorded camera footage, the public will be advised to file a police report. Audio recording. At no time shall the New Ulm Public Library include any persons or contracted service intentionally use library surveillance cameras that have audio monitoring or audio recording capabilities. Privacy. In all other respects, recorded data will be accorded the same level of confidentiality and protection provided to library users by the applicable laws and regulations governing electronic surveillance and monitoring, including United States Code of Federal Regulations, 18 U.S.C. 2511 2D, and Minnesota Statute 626A.02, Subdivision 2D, New Ulm Public Library Policies, and the American Library Association Policies on Confidentiality. Video surveillance data may be non-public or private. Security information is defined by Minnesota Statute 13.37, Subdivision 1A, or private personnel pursuant to Minnesota Statute 13.43, Subdivision 4, which may be accessed, used, and disclosed only as consistent with those laws and any other applicable law under the Minnesota Government Data Practices Act. The library disclaims any liability for use of the video data in accordance with these terms of this policy, given that the library is a public facility and the security cameras shall be limited to those areas where patrons and/or staff have no reasonable expectations of privacy. Recordings shall not be used or disclosed other than specifically authorized by this policy. Library staff who misuse this data will be subject to disciplinary action, and then this was approved on today's date. So pretty inclusive. So I will entertain a motion to accept the library board, the policy for the security camera.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Any discussion, questions? Wow, that's impressive. Okay.
The only thing I have to say is that we learned when we were over in Sleepy Eye that some of the smaller libraries that already have this, they only have one person there at night, and they have had to call for, police to come because of disruptive or, patrons that weren't following their director.
Okay.
So it really, has helped in other libraries, so even though we're never alone,
Yeah.
I think it'll be great.
Yeah, it could be a good deterrent.
Yes.
So, any other questions or discussion?
One question quick. Does the log have to be done when they go in just for maintenance checking, making sure it still works?
I don't think so. I think it's
Okay.
when you're looking to access specific footage.
Okay, got it.
If they happen to catch a glimpse of whatever the live feed is while they're maintaining it, I don't think.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay.
All right, and we'll call the roll.
Sarah,
Yes.
Dustin, yes. Vince,
Yes?
Yvonne,
Yes.
Manon,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Hope,
Yes.
Carl.
Yes.
All right, motion passed. Next one is resolution number 2024-15, accepting Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund Grant. First reading and adoption. At its May 16, 2024 meeting, the Traverse des Sioux Regional Library Board awarded New Ulm Public Library with an Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund Legacy grant in the amount of $3,000 for 5 performances of Rockin' and Reading with Leonardo on July 1st and 2nd. Leonardo will perform for each of the Brown County libraries, including at German Park Amphitheater on Monday, July 1st at 7 p.m. as part of the 2024 Concerts in the Park series, presented in partnership with the New Ulm Park and Recreation. Leonardo is a Parents' Choice Award-winning musician from Chicago who performs a humorous, high-energy concert that entertains, educates, and empowers children. So, I had asked April about this and about when would he be appearing at the library, and she indicated he won't. Our library's attendance will be at the German Park Amphitheater, and the remaining 4 other appearances are at the other Brown County libraries. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So it was kind of confusing a little bit as to, when he would appear at our library. But the grant was given to the New Ulm Public Library, but it's for the entire Brown County
Yes.
library system.
Yeah,
Okay.
and that's a common thing that we do, especially during the summer, to bring in performers that might be more expensive or might be traveling. If we can have them perform at 5 libraries, a lot of times it's a better sell for them to want to come to this area.
Okay. So I'll entertain a motion to accept the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund Grant.
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, motion and a second. Any questions, discussion?
Is there an alternate site if there's bad weather for the performance?
I think that for Park and Rec concerts, it's usually at the Civic Center. Yeah.
Yep, that would be. All right, any other questions? All right, Dustin, you'll call the roll?
Sarah,
Yes.
Dustin, yes. Vince,
Yes.
Yvonne,
Yes.
Manon,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Hope,
Yes.
Carl.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Next action item is resolution number 2024-16, accepting the Optimist Club donation. It's first reading and adoption. The Optimist Club of New Ulm approved a donation of $846 to the New Ulm Public Library at its May meeting. The donation will be used as follows: $300 to purchase swag bags for teens who complete their summer reading program reading log, and $546 to renew the library's annual movie screening license. The Optimist Club of New Ulm has supported the library's annual movie screening license for over a decade and frequently supports youth programs and activities at the library. The Library Board of New Ulm Public Library accepts this donation with gratitude to the Optimist Club of New Ulm. So I will entertain a motion for accepting the Optimist Club donation.
So move.
And I'll second. Any further discussion, questions? I do have a question on the annual movie screening license. April, can maybe you give a little explanation what that entails?
Yes. So in order to screen movies publicly at the library, we have to purchase the license. And the licensing company, Swank is their name. They contract with different movie,
Vendors?
I want to say publishers, but that's not the word, production companies.
Okay.
To bring their movies under their umbrella. So we don't have access to all the movies
Right.
ever. It's whatever's covered by their contracts.
Okay, and you can select from those then, right?
They have an online database we can
Okay.
look at. So we select movies from that, and then if they're covered by our license, then we can show them at the library.
Okay,
They do offer some for, I think it's usually more independent production companies have an additional license fee you can pay. I think it's been $118 in the past for some movies, but we don't do that very often.
okay. And I know when that film group runs their movies at the library, do they take care of the screening thing, or is that covered under our?
If it happens at the
License.
library as a library program, it's covered under our movie license. And we partner with the New Ulm Film Society, so that's a library program, but the New Ulm Film Society is facilitating the discussion part of that program for us.
Okay.
As volunteers.
So those movies that they show are covered under this license agreement? Okay,
Yeah, but if it happens outside of the library, then the Film Society has purchased that license on their
Okay.
own.
all right, thanks for the clarification.
Yes.
All
I
right,
just
so,
have,
go ahead.
I'm sorry, I have a question. How many swag bags does $300 get?
We're kind of waiting to gauge how many participants we have, and
Okay.
then we can kind of determine what goes in them based on that.
Okay, I was
The
just
team
curious.
participation in the summer reading program is usually quite a bit lower than the other kids.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying to build that, but it takes some
Yeah.
time.
I was just curious what.
Yeah.
All right, any other questions? All right, then we'll call the roll.
Sarah,
Yes.
Dustin, yes. Vince,
Yes?
Yvonne,
Yes.
Manon,
Yes.
Lynn,
Yes.
Hope,
Yes.
Carl.
Yes.
All right, motion passes. Next action item is resolution number 2024-17, approving the water fountain replacement expenditure. First reading and adoption. The library requested quotes for replacing the library's main floor water fountain. The fountain's pressure mechanism has been malfunctioning for several years. It has been repaired multiple times, and the repairs are no longer able to resolve the issue. This is an unbudgeted project. The library director recommends replacing the water fountain and using the library's fund balance to cover the cost of the replacement. 2 vendors were contacted, and the library received the attached quote from Schultz Plumbing totaling $2820, and there's the attached quote is in there. And it's basically for removing the old bi-level ADA cooler fountain and install new bi-level ADA filtered / refrigerated cooler. The cooler is in LK, and it has the model number there, what it is, which has bi-level filtered refrigerated drinking fountain. And it's a 3 to 4 week lead time, and that includes, the work includes the unit itself, and then all piping, fittings, and labor that go along with it. So I'm assuming this is a like-for-like replacement, because I know in the past we discussed having a bottle filler, and that would bump up the cost to $4,000 or so.
Yeah.
And we decided to ixnay that one.
Yeah, that was between $4,000 and $5,000. The fountain sees frequent use, but it's not very heavy use, so I think it's enough to have just this bi-level fountain
Okay.
there.
All right, so I will entertain a motion to accept or approve the water fountain replacement expenditure.
I'll move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion or additional questions? I was over at the library today and I got a drink out of the one that was working. When you first turn that on, that shoots like a mile. Can they adjust that thing when they're fixing?
That's the problem, is that it's shooting out of the fountain.
Yeah,
And so the one that's marked out of order was
Yep.
doing that. And so we finally just turned it off and left the one that is ADA compliant on, and that shoots out. And we've adjusted that back over years, and it keeps doing it, and it's to the point where we can't adjust it back anymore. So that's what the replacement is about.
so you've got 2 water fountains there now. So is that going to be, there's only going to be one then after this, or?
There'll be 2. They both run on the same compressor system.
Okay.
My knowledge of the plumbing is pretty weak, but they both run on that same system inside, so it'll be the 2 levels still
Okay.
with the 2 fountains.
So when they replace that one, then will it correct that problem then with the,
Yes.
okay, good. All right, wow. Any other questions or discussion? All right, call the roll.
Sarah? Yes. Dustin, yes. Vince?
Yes?
Yvonne?
Yes.
Manon?
Yes.
Lynn? Yes. Hope?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
All right, motion carried, or, thanks. The last one for, action item for today is resolution number 2024-18, accepting the Friends of the New Ulm Public Library donations. First reading and adoption. The Friends of the New Ulm Public Library Board approved 3 donations to the library at its June 5th, 2024 meeting. The donations are as follows: $500 for photo books to support outreach to senior living facilities, $414 for the library's annual book page subscription, and $1,500 for the Ollie Sultan Comedy Program of June 29, 2024, which April had mentioned during the programming section. The Library Board of the New Ulm Public Library accepts this donation with gratitude and to the Friends of the New Ulm Public Library. So I will entertain a motion to accept the Friends of the New Ulm Public Library donation.
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Is there any discussion or questions?
What is a photo book? What are those?
I had a hard time knowing exactly what to call it, but it's basically a coffee table book that features a lot of photography.
Oh, okay.
When we are doing our visits to the senior living homes in New Ulm, we find that for patrons whose needs are no longer being met even by large print books, that these photo books are really appealing for them to check out for the month. And so we'd like to refresh our collection a little bit and add to it so that we have more to offer when we
That's nice.
visit.
And then what's a book page subscription?
Bookpage is a publication that's created by the Bookpage Company, and it's got professional reviews of upcoming titles for fiction, nonfiction, young adult, and children's books. But you can kind of choose your subscription level. We get 50 copies a month, and then you make it available for your patrons, and they can just take. And so it's a little bit of an advertising thing for our patrons of the things we're going to be adding to our collection. It's a way for them to find out about things they might want to read. And then our staff often pull a copy and use it when they're making some of their purchase decisions. So it's been useful for that too.
So is that electronic or is that like a paper thing?
Print, yeah.
Okay.
So you can find it next to the self checkout station and then at the catalog station that's right by the service desk.
Oh, okay. All right, any other questions? All right, hearing none then, we'll call the roll.
Sarah?
Yes.
Dustin, yes. Vince?
Yes?
Yvonne?
Yes.
Manon?
Yes.
Lynn?
Yes.
Hope?
Yes.
Carl?
Yes.
All right, excellent. So we've managed to work our way through all the action items, and now we've come to the part where we've all been waiting for, the library budget discussion for the 2025 budget. So April, I'll let you kind of facilitate that.
Would you like me to go through bullet by bullet point?
And,
Can you summarize each bullet?
yeah,
point?
you would say, you could summarize, hit the high points.
Yes.
So this is kind of even though it's not an action item tonight, this is kind of your first reading through the budget draft. The final version of the budget you would be expected to approve at your July board meeting because it's due to the finance office by July 28th. So that's kind of my deadline to get it entered into the accounting system. Some things that you'll want to note then when you're looking at the draft budget is that the bolded lines are the line items that the library board has control over. So that's a lot of our collection purchases, our supplies, that can include like general supplies like paper towels through our technology supplies for the year. All of the other line items are things that the city finance department has discretion over. So personnel services, so our salaries and insurance, and then things like our utilities, the amount we pay internally to the IT department for those services, those are all controlled by the finance department, so you wouldn't need to look at those as much. So I am making some recommendations on some increases. There are a few decreases in here based on some different things. So I'll talk about the decreases first. I'm recommending decreases in some of our revenue lines. First, in the audiovisual rentals and the meeting room rental, because in our strategic plan, we've made an action item to eliminate those fees for 2025, so that we would no longer be collecting those. That doesn't totally negate what we collect in the meeting room rental fee line, because our new cat rent goes in that line, the rent new cat pays to us. So that's why it's only a decrease of 1,000. It's just what we're collecting in meeting room rentals. I also am recommending decreases in the miscellaneous and book sale lines, revenue lines, because we just are not collecting as many funds for those items anymore. Our book sales have decreased consistently over years. We're just not selling as many used books for whatever reason. And then the miscellaneous items includes things like sales of Keurig coffee or headphones that people can buy at the library. In our expenses, the decreases are in our audiovisual supplies line, and that's because I moved $1,500 over into our book line. It's harder and harder for us to find DVDs and audiobooks to purchase, because so many more things are just available on streaming. And so there's just not as much for us to spend money on in those collections, which is a challenge. There's also a decrease in our cataloging and processing line of $1,712, and that's because TDS is approved a decrease in our fees to them for next year. Carl, I don't know if you want to say anything about that as a TDS board member.
Well, I think it's self-explanatory. I think they're trying to, be helpful to libraries, knowing the kind of budgetary constraints they're facing, and they're doing what they can to economize those fees.
As far as increases go, most of the increases are just kind of incremental to keep up with the cost of supplies and services. Notable increases, $4,500 in the books line. That's an increase of the $1,500 we would be moving from the audiovisual line, as well as just an additional $3,000 to keep up with the increased cost of books. And then also I'm including an increase of $4,000 in our contractual maintenance building line, mainly to cover the cost of the 5-year sprinkler inspection that we're due for, as well as window cleaning at the library. I think the last time we did window cleaning was in 2022, so we're due for that again. And then in the capital expense lines, I included $25,000 as an estimate for office furniture and equipment. We are looking at a potential project to replace some of the shelving in the children's room, where we have the browse bins for the picture books. Some of those bins are getting worn and the joints and things are not as sturdy as they once were. And we think it's an opportunity for us to put all of the shelving on bookcases along the walls and free up some of the space in the middle of the room. So when we have 64 kids at story time, we have a little bit more space to accommodate that. And then depending on, I am still waiting for quotes from the vendor we've used for shelving projects recently. And depending on where that project comes in, there's potential that we could maybe, within that $25,000, also put in some shelving along the service desk where we normally keep our reshelving carts. We are looking for space for things like our Spanish book collection, our bookshelf bags. We're running out of space for our well-used large print collection, so we think that space could be better utilized with some shelving. So I did send this draft that you're seeing to the finance director just to see if she had any questions or concerns with it as presented, and she did not at this time.
Okay. All right. Well, thanks for that update. Are there any other questions for April with regards to the proposed budget? And as you mentioned, we will be probably voting on it next month then?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not anticipating any major changes to anything you're seeing here between now and then, just with the potential of that shelving project,
Yep.
depending on what that quote is.
Okay. All right. So if there's no other questions on that, is there any other business that we need to attend to? All right, no one's chiming in, then I will say we're adjourned. Thanks, everyone.